Nobody explains CSEC biology incomplete versus codominance this simply.
Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because, well, we're going on a truly fascinating journey. We're going to explore how the microscopic rules of genetics, those hidden codes running inside literally every living thing, end up shaping everything from the color of farm animals to the vast societal and economic landscapes of entire regions. We're decoding the mix, moving from basic biology all the way up to massive human impacts in the Caribbean. So get comfortable and let's decode the secret language of life together.
Okay, let's dive right into this with the classic agricultural mystery. Imagine a farmer has a red bull carrying two R genes and a white cow carrying two W genes. When they cross, what exactly does the offspring look like? Does one color just completely overpower the other? Do we get a pink cow? Or something entirely different? It sounds like a simple riddle, right? But the answer actually unlocks the core rules of genetic inheritance.
To solve that mystery, we really need to understand the ground rules. So, Section 1. The genetic mix. Let's decode the blueprint.
Let's start with the blueprint itself, the genotype. This refers to the actual letters or alleles an organism carries. Every individual needs two alleles for a trait, one inherited from each parent. So our red bull has an RR genotype, and our white cow has a WW genotype. Now you can't see the genotype just by looking at the animal, right? It's hidden away, written directly in their DNA.
Now contrast that with the phenotype. If the genotype is the hidden code, the phenotype is the final physical result that you can actually see with your own eyes. Red, white, or roan, these are all phenotypes. The absolute crucial thing to remember as we move forward is that the genotype dictates the phenotype. Those hidden letters, they completely decide the visible look.
And that brings us to the secret of our agricultural mystery, the concept of being heterozygous. This means an organism has two entirely different alleles for a specific trait. Remember our parents? They were homozygous. They had perfectly matching letters, R and W. But when their offspring gets an R from the dad and a W from the mom, we get that RW combination. They are heterozygous, and when you mix two different sets of instructions, well, nature has to make a choice.
In basic Mendelian genetics, one allele usually just hides the other. But nature is far more colorful than that. Section 2. Blended versus shared traits.
There are two beautifully distinct ways nature actually handles these heterozygous clashes. On one hand, we have incomplete dominance. Think of this like mixing paint. You take a red flower, you take a white flower, you mix those genetic paints together, and neither one wins out. You get a blended intermediate phenotype, pink. But on the other hand, we have codominance, and this isn't paint at all. This is more like a patchwork quilt. Both traits show up clearly and equally at the exact same time. The perfect example is human blood type AB, where both the A and B traits are fully expressed. They literally share the space.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the massive debate it sparks in biology classrooms. Remember our red and white cattle? Well, they produce a calf known as a roan. But how exactly do we categorize this roan coat? According to some sources in the Caribbean syllabus, roan is described as a blended phenotype, which points directly towards incomplete dominance. Yet, if you look really closely at a true roan coat, you'll often see distinct red and white hairs simultaneously. And that is the absolute hallmark of codominance. It's a fascinating biological debate that really tests your understanding of how these two distinct mechanisms work in the real world.
Let's step away from the debate for a second and look at the practical mechanics. How do we actually predict these outcomes without just guessing? Section 3. Predicting the offspring.
If we want to predict the exact genotype of our own calf, the math is surprisingly simple. Step 1. Set up the alleles. Red gives an R, white gives a W. Step 2. Draw your Punnett square. Step 3. Analyze the mix. When the R and W meet in the middle, every single box fills with one of each. Bringing us to step 4, our final answer is RW. It's incredibly elegant and completely predictable.
Here's a brilliant exam tip that acts kind of like a genetic cheat code. I call it the third look. If you cross two clearly different parents and their offspring results in a distinct third intermediate phenotype, like those pink flowers from red and white or our roan calves, you instantly know you are not dealing with simple dominant or recessive genes. You are looking squarely at codominance or incomplete dominance. You don't even need the Punnett square to spot it out in the wild.
This perfectly illustrates a foundational absolute.
the 100% rule. When you cross two perfectly different homozygous parents, meaning a pure RR parent and a pure WW parent, there's absolutely no other genetic outcome possible. You are guaranteed to get a 100% heterozygous offspring pool. Every single calf will be RW. Every single one will be roan. It's literally a mathematical certainty written in biology.
Let's see how all this builds into something deeply personal. We're zooming out to look at traits within actual human populations. Section 4, Traits in the Caribbean. So these are what we call discrete physical traits, and they're commonly surveyed in Caribbean biology classrooms. Actually, test yourself right now. Are your earlobes free-hanging, or are they attached directly to your head? Can you roll your tongue into a U shape? Do you have dimples when you smile? Are you left-handed? Do you have a V-shaped widow's peak at your hairline? You are literally a living, breathing explainer of genetic inheritance. These visible traits are the direct, everyday results of the exact genotypes we've been talking about. And this brilliantly illustrates how these abstract rules map perfectly onto our immediate environment. If you step outside in the Caribbean, you'll likely see pink hibiscus flowers, a perfect, real-world example of incomplete dominance, the blending of red and white. Inside local blood banks, you'll find human blood group AB, our perfect patchwork example of codominance. And we also see the inheritance of recessive traits, like albinism. The local environment is essentially one massive interactive genetics textbook.
But genetics isn't just about dimples and flower colors, right? It carries incredible societal weight. Section 5, the sickle cell impact. In the Caribbean biology curriculum, sickle cell anemia is a completely vital case study. This is a hereditary disease. I really want to stress that. It is not an infectious virus. You can't catch it from bacteria. It is passed directly from parents to offspring via genetic material through dominant and recessive genes. The exact same Punnett square mechanics that predict a roan calf are the exact same mechanics determining if a child will inherit this severe, life-altering medical condition.
Because of its prevalence in the region, the syllabus correctly emphasizes that this microscopic mix cascades into massive macro consequences. It directly affects the efficiency of human resources and the broader economy of Caribbean territories. Think about that for a second. This isn't just a biological curiosity. It's a condition that demands intense medical care, impacts life expectancy, and ultimately shifts the economic and productive capacity of entire families and nations. The microscopic genotype literally shapes the macroeconomy.
So, the crucial point is that we really must view this through an evolutionary lens as well. It perfectly demonstrates genetic variation in how human populations adapt to environmental challenges over time. You see, in certain environments, carrying the sickle cell trait historically offered protection against other severe environmental threats, like malaria. It's a stark, powerful reminder that genetics is the ultimate story of human survival and adaptation.
We've journeyed all the way from red and white cattle to the survival and economic structures of human societies. It's just astonishing how those hidden genotype letters dictate so much of our visible world. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. As our scientific tools become sharper and our ability to decipher the mix becomes even more precise, how will our growing understanding of these genetic codes fundamentally reshape the future of human health, medicine, and society? It's a massive question, and one we are all going to have to answer together. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.
As always, the link for this study tool is in the description below. Let me know what you think in the comments.